Hi, in this tutorial, we're going to be going over solving quadratic equations by the square root property. So in this tutorial, you'll learn how to solve quadratic equations using the square root property, how to solve problems using the Pythagorean Theorem, and how to find the distance between 2 points. So the square root property has the form u squared equals plus or minus the square root of d. So let's do an example. Here we have x minus 1 square root equals 7. So if u squared equals plus or minus the square root of d, then that means that x minus 1 equals plus or minus the square root of 7. So now if we move 1 to the other side, we get 1 plus or minus the square root of 7. So that's our answer. Now the Pythagorean theorem states that the sum of the squares of the length of the legs of a right triangle equals the square of the length of the hypotenuse. So what that really means is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So here, the square root of leg A plus the square root of leg B equals the square root of the hypotenuse c. So let's do an example. Let's find a. So we have a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So we have a squared plus b squared is 2 squared equals 6 squared. So a squared plus 4 equals 36. So now we have a squared equals 32, or a equals the square root of 32. And then you can break that down into the square root of 4 times 8. Or, 4 times 8. And then the square root of 4 is 2 times the square root of 8, which can be broken down into 4 times 2. And then the square root of 4 is 2 times 2, square root of 2, or 4 square root of 2. So the distance formula states that the distance d between the points x1, y1, and x2, y2 is given by the distance formula. So here we have the distance equals the square root of x2 minus x1 square root plus y2 plus y1 square root squared equal. So let's do an example. Let's find the distance between -3, -5, and 6 and -2. So we have the distance equals y2 minus y1 squared plus x2 minus x1 squared. So we have d equals the square root of y2, which is 6, minus y1, which is -3, squared, plus x2, which is 6, y2, so this should be x2, just do this over. So the distance formula is the square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. So now we have x2, which is 6, minus y1 is -3 squared plus y2 is -2 minus -5 squared. So d equals the square root of -6 minus -3 is 9 squared plus -2 minus -5 is 3 squared. So now we have d equals the square root of 81 plus 9, which gives us square root of 90, which gives us square root of 9 times 10, which gives us 3 square root of 10. So that's our answer. So in this tutorial, you'll learn how to solve quadratic equations using the square root property, how to solve problems using the Pythagorean Theorem, and how to find the distance between 2 points. Now try and solve problems and are solving the quadratic equations by the square root property. For more help, sign up for online tutoring. And in the next tutorial, we're going to be going over solving quadratic equations by completing the square. Thank you.